Everybody
I edit it.
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want as long as I listen to it.
There you go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting here at Charlie's Tavern in the heart of beautiful downtown Grays Lake, Illinois. My name is Evan Rafferty. Sitting here with me, as always, is Jay, the Sausage King of Chicago Clancy, and Patrick, the Pool Boy Whistler. Boys and girls, it is time for the second coming of this episode of the 1,
2, 3,
4
Shots
podcast.
podcast.
And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Jason Martens, head brewer over at Mickey Finn's, sitting here with us. And today we are shooting a little Jameson Irish whiskey. Cheers, boys.
Yeah, a little.
Cheers.
Fuck. Shot number 1.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Fuck. They have 1 liter Barton's bourbon at Costco. It's an insane deal.
Was it like $6?
No, it's like 24 or something.
That's a fucking
like that.
ripoff, bro. For Barton's? Fuck that.
No.
Like
Barton's
very
good.
old Barton? Or is that a different thing?
No.
The same thing?
It's that same brand, yeah. But it's not like well whiskey.
Oh, all my well stuff is Barton's.
I know it is. But they make good stuff too, trust me.
Okay. Well,
Most do.
I'll take your word. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. We are sitting here. Mr. Jason Martens, thanks for being on again with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Like I was saying earlier, before we had to start recording again, due to a little technical difficulties. You know, you're a man of many titles here. You're father, family man, head brewer, award winner, ginger, curly hair.
I'm glad you didn't forget Ginger.
Oh, I gotta throw
Thank
that
you.
in there.
Yeah, you gotta take me down a peg or two.
When we post this episode, instead of like the 4 Shots logo, we'll probably put your fucking junior year high school photo on instead.
You
Have you seen that? Have I showed you that? It's great.
I'm being publicly shamed all over town.
None of
for
you
that
have
one.
seen mine, and none of you ever will.
Yeah.
The similarity between our hairstyles and our senior pictures is unbelievable.
It sneaked out. It's one of those. It sneaked out years ago, and
Was rediscovered.
that's
It's so
when you,
good.
That's
I think it's still up in the brewery, isn't it?
It's
You got that big one still hanging?
I don't
it's-
know who you showed it to first, but you sent it to me like probably 10 years ago. I
And
immediately
he
just
sent it
started
to everybody.
texting it to everyone.
Dude,
it's like fucking
One of the
look
fir-
at
when
this.
I first met you, you were like, "Oh, have you seen this picture?" Because it was when you guys did the homecoming picture. Remember that?
yeah.
That was great. I don't know if you ever showed you
I
that.
don't know if I have.
There's like a homecoming thing going up in the back, and
This was during Corona, like so
Ah.
everyone's wearing a mask, and they had like a homecoming thing set up with like fake leaves and like a whole thing for like couples to take a picture in front of. So Jason and I took some very intimate
we decided to
homecoming,
embrace.
Yeah.
How would you
homecoming
say-
/ prom
they
style
were very
pictures.
Intimate
good.
is not a word to throw around there, man.
like hands around the waist.
Yeah,
Oh.
pretty.
The
pretty,
one where
pretty
isn't one
close.
of you on your like knee and the other one's got the hand on the
Yes,
shoulder. That
yes,
was a good one too.
yes, yes.
Oh yeah,
yes.
they're good. There's one with like the hand over the chest and it's like the hand on it. It's
Yeah.
so good.
So this, and thank you for having me on the podcast here. Big fan. I've listened to almost every episode.
You and about 20 other people.
But I've worked with you, Evan, for quite some time. Jay, I've known you through the years.
Do you remember the first time we met?
I'm probably a little foggy.
Wow, dude,
but
you seemed
I
a little
think
hurt.
So.
No.
You seemed a little
We
hurt
were-
there.
That's fantastic. No, like do you remember the story that I'm talking about?
So
This might be a bleeper, but we were out on the patio, and I've kind of met you a couple times, and you're like, "Hey, how do you like the beer at Mickey Finn's?"
Oh, I do remember this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had been before you
Yeah.
brewed there,
Yeah.
and I hadn't enjoyed it, and I
Yeah.
said that. And Evan's like, "Oh, well, here's the brewer," and I was
guy's
like,
fucking
"Oh,
brewer."
God damn it, dude!"
That's literally like,
Yeah,
he's like,
totally
the
threw
beer's
you under
alright.
the
I'm
bus.
like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy makes all that shit.
Yeah. Well,
damn
that was
you can't
about
backtrack your way out of that one.
No, but that
I'm
was
just like,
that was probably 3.5 years ago. So
Yeah.
gotten to know you well over the last 3.5 years, and obviously Patrick's a friend of mine over the last.
Well, I was gonna say
15
you're probably
years.
you're probably the reason
15
this
years, yeah.
podcast is even together is because you introduced me to Mr. Patrick over here. You know. So
yeah,
you're,
this guy,
you're responsible for one leg of this tripod.
one of my old school friends. We go way back. I'm sure we got a ton of stories going back over the years.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Oh yeah.
no, yeah. Thanks for having me on the pod.
Yeah,
Appreciate
dude.
it.
So let's just kind of get into your like work history here a little bit. You know, like you're saying, you've been at Finn's about 3.5 years, head brewer over there.
Yeah, just over 4 years now, head brewer.
It's over 4 years now. Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
I
I remember the first time I met you was in the stairwell at Finn's, and Doopy was like, I'm opening up a restaurant. You guys are both going to work for me. And I was just kind of like, oh, like, you know, some of the same people I know. Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah. Doopy always with his impromptu drunken business plans. Yeah, he's always got a plan.
Who's Doobie?
Nate Dupre.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine. Good dude.
Dubé?
One of my-
Might want to bleep his name. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Wait,
we'll
his
leave it
last
in.
name's Dubé.
Dupre.
Oh, Dupre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
One of
good
my-
guy. He married one of my best friends from high school's younger sister. Good dude. We played football together in high school.
Yeah.
It's a great dude.
Fucking maniac on the football field.
Yeah, total maniac on the football field. So, all right, work history. We'll go back to the beginning. Started caddying when I was 14. My old man was a ball buster. You got to get a job. I hated it. I was scrawny as shit. Carrying golf bags when you're 120 pounds.
And it gets
soaking
hot
wet.
out there, and there's
Oh,
mosquitoes.
it's terrible. And trying to carry 2 bags, like
Dude, and you were
each
you were,
golf bag weighs like 40 pounds.
You were like at a total kind of snobby club.
Knollwood,
too.
yeah, country. I don't even know if they allow
Yeah,
I don't-
They
I don't-
definitely have restrictions
I
on
don't,
people that can come in there.
I don't think they let like
It's
minorities
funny that
and Jews
it's
there.
funny that from
Like,
your
we'll
perspective,
We'll stick with how I said it. Like certain
Pretty
people
sh-
aren't allowed in
Pretty
there.
sure certain people aren't allowed there.
Yeah.
It's a
it's-
very waspy club.
it's
say.
funny that from your perspective, that's a really snobby club because having gone to Lake Forest High School, that's like the club guys buy a membership at so their wives can play there because they belong to like Bobolink or Old Elm where women aren't allowed.
Oh yeah,
Or
yeah.
something that's like their secondary
What's the other one? It's
membership.
like X or something like that, or
Exmoor?
is that one of
No,
them?
the two that
No,
are
it's Onwencia. Isn't Onwencia another one that's like
Onwencia is like supposedly said no to Michael Jordan.
yeah.
I used to go there with my friends and like
Oh, he's kinda
we'd have like
dark-skinned.
steak for lunch and drink red wine and shit. It was fucking awesome.
Well, we
The
forgot
place-
that you're kind of snobby.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
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 How many fireplaces did you grow up with?
Yeah.
One.
One. I've only
Fucking
got-
rich
Only
guy.
One.
Christ, this
Only
guy's got a
one fireplace.
We had a
Holy
fire
shit.
pit
Yeah, dude.
outside.
Oh, dude, I didn't even do it
Indoor
outside.
plumbing.
We
Indoor
did it-
plumbing.
In Mundelein, we go out on the
Outside fire.
driveway with our stand, our fire stand.
We had
Oh, God.
I grew up in Wildwood. We had a burn barrel in the fucking
There
side
you
yard.
go. Fuck yeah, dude.
Wild Hood. No, I live in Knollwood. It's the hood, just like fucking
Yeah,
Wildwood.
yeah.
Wildwood and Knollwood.
No
Yeah.
hood.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard a bunch of people call it.
Yeah, exactly.
All those rap songs out of Chicago.
Straight out of Knollwood.
From Chirac to Knoll Hood.
So from there, so
Yep.
so obviously
Thank you.
caddying at the club early on.
It's gonna be
And
Devin's
then-
next record.
So I started working at my uncle's pet store. After that, I had to get a job at 15. So I don't consider it. Well, I consider retail the service industry.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Like we
Without a doubt.
we all work in the service industry that is the bar and restaurant industry. But in my opinion, if you work any form of retail, that's considered service industry.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should work in that because, like, it's not until somebody is like disgusting to you from the other end that you just appreciate like or you instill in yourself like I'm never gonna be shitty to someone like that.
Yeah.
So grew up in family retail. It was a family pet store, so it was kind of interesting.
A
Like
lot of puppies.
no, we didn't do dogs. We didn't believe in that.
Don't do humans.
Don't do humans. No, we did all sorts of other stuff. Reptiles, fish. I was a fish guy. I know it sounds weird.
No, you were having like a
I was a
snake
fish guy.
story. You were talking to someone about snakes. For
I
like,
got.
who was that?
I don't remember who that was, but we were. Yeah, I was talking to someone at
PJ.
length.
That's what it was.
PJ, yes. I was talking to PJ at length about snakes and getting bitten by snakes and other stuff like that.
I
but
had
yeah.
a snake for a year, and I thought it was so cool. And then it bit me like like 10 times, and it was like gushing blood everywhere. And I was like, "Well, fuck this snake now.
Yeah.
Never touching it again."
Yeah, it's. I think it.
First of all, it got
These-
5 shots in before you
Yeah.
even throw it.
So you know,
You're just
snakes,
sitting there like,
it
no,
was an
stop,
Australian carpet python.
Yeah.
So it was really cool because it could like climb like the wall. Basically, it was like 6.5 feet
That's
long.
like my worst nightmare coming alive. Fuck that.
It was like
6 feet long and it
long.
can climb walls.
Yeah, it was like about as big around as a quarter, but it could like extend its body up and like climb. People don't understand. Some snakes are prehensile and some aren't. And this one could fucking do really crazy shit.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I'd get drunk and take it out and be like, "Oh, look at my snake," and like it was fine for like a while. And then that one time it bit me. And I
They're
was
fun
like,
for
"God
parlor
damn it."
tricks until they try to devour your
Yeah.
hand.
I was just way too fucking wasted and opened it and just reached my hand in straight for it and it just tagged me a whole bunch of times and yeah. But it's still I was basically
What's that?
afraid after
You're
that.
moving your
The
hand
Tom
like
Green
you're
thing in
moving your
Road
hand
Trip?
like
It's
prey.
Are you here for the feeding?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, worked through that through college or high school, college. I was a biochem major in college.
What were like the stupidest questions someone asked you while working at a pet store?
Like mixing of like I was a fish geek. So
Like, wait, I'm supposed to put salt in the water?
yeah, so I was like I was a biochem major, so like
For some.
not understanding that some fish. So Finding Nemo came out. That movie came out actually while I was working at the pet store.
Oh my
and
god, everyone
and
wanted a clownfish after that or whatever.
I was managing the fish department, and everybody wanted a clownfish, and everybody wanted to come in. They're like, we want a clownfish, and I'm like, you don't understand. That's a saltwater fish. That's like the fish itself is like $30, but the setup for that is not small and not inexpensive.
Right.
No.
So then you're telling them, you're talking like you're over 300 all in, and then the upkeep.
And then you like have to have an anemone for them, right?
No, you don't have to, but
that's like their thing.
that's their thing. But you don't have to. But the anemones
Are a pain in the ass. We had anemones.
nothing and
What
nothing.
the hell's an enemy?
It's like a coral with no bone, with like no
Oh, yeah, yeah,
structure,
yeah.
and it's just like a gooey looking
like filters of
blob
water
It's like
type,
a
right?
looking
stationary
thing.
jellyfish. But it when they die, oh my god, the smell that would come from them.
Ours
like-
would never die. They'd go on a hunger strike and wouldn't eat the food, and then they'd shrink down to the size of a fucking pea, and they'd just like float away. And then we'd find them like full grown, stuck in the filter or something, like clogging the system. And we had like a purple and a green one, and they would like get big, like the size of a softball, and then they'd be like, no, and then they'd like shrink down.
I remember my buddy,
They were insane.
My buddy, like in high school, he had a fucking sick like saltwater tank. Like I loved it. It was about the size of this table. And I remember one time he's like, "Yeah, I have like $4,000 worth of fish in there, because they're all expensive, So then he goes and buys this little baby shark, and I go over there when he the day he got it. And he's like, "Yeah, this thing cost me like $1,000, like for this little baby shark." And I go over there the next week, and the only thing in this fucking fish tank is the baby shark. And he's like, "Yeah, that baby shark cost me about $5,000 because it just fucking ate everything else in there." But
You're just trying to get Jay to sing the song right now.
I was just
aren't you?
thinking, it's,
Yeah.
it's nothing like
Yeah.
the song.
It's not like
Baby
the song.
Shark sounds like he's the hero of the song.
no,
Yeah, he's so friendly, right?
Yeah.
no, that motherfucker ate
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
We just bought these little
I bet you didn't think
domino
the-
fish that were like an inch long, and they fucking attacked everything. All of our other fish had like bite marks out of all their fins, and this fish was like this big, the
Little
size of a
fucker.
fucking postage stamp, and just attacking everything.
Basically,
Like the Chihuahua fish, kind of.
Yeah,
the
Bet you didn't
husbandry
think
of
the podcast was going this way, did you?
the
called
husbandry
it.
of these animals in confinement is you're taking shit that's used to like existing in the ocean and in an open environment, and you're trying to contain it into a 2 by 3 foot glass box.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is not sustainable. I do have a lot of issues with that pet industry and trying to
Yeah.
keep like reptiles, fish, other stuff like that outside. Like, there's ways to do it responsibly, and there's people that do it responsibly, but there's also a lot of
Puppy
bad.
mills.
there's
shit.
a lot of shady stuff. They have like
Yeah.
big reptile shows, which are like as shady or shadier than fucking gun shows, and people go there and like dudes are just selling reptiles and fish that are straight up like
Nice.
taken out of the Amazon jungle. Like,
Yeah, by some African rock pythons that are going to grow 22 feet in length at full grown.
you
And
could go to one
and it could like suffocate your children. There's stories of Burmese pythons and African rock pythons and stuff that have actually like suffocated people's children.
Yeah.
Because they're irresponsible snake owners, and they're like, yeah, I'll maintain a snake that gets 16 feet long and then wants to try to choke out my 4-year-old.
All right.
Anyways,
There's,
all right,
there's
let's
a
go
huge
on.
problem
All
in
right.
Florida, like them just in the wild.
The Burmese pythons,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they're
They're
invasive
huge.
species. They're not supposed to be there, and people just go.
I don't
Yeah.
care what you say. I got 2 pythons right here.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.5.
All right. So we'll move on from work history from that. In my 20s,
What's like your first like bar, restaurant, like liquor service industry like job? What's your first one?
So that would have been years later when my kids were born, and I started working in the tap room of a local brewery.
And you were out in Colorado at this point, right?
Nope.
Or are you
I
out
was
here?
here in Illinois.
What
um,
local brewery?
Tighthead.
Oh,
Tighthead Brewing.
shout out Tighthead.
But I had already gone about 5-6 years prior. I had already gone to brewing school for brewing science. So in my early 20s,
Were you at like Siebel or?
I went to American Brewers Guild out
Okay.
of Vermont, correspondence course with a period of on
Was it like
on
online?
premise practice. Yeah, it was all online, and then there was a 2-week on premise portion. So I met my good buddy Billy, who's head brewer, director of brewing operations at Tighthead. And I met him when we were about 24. I was managing the local cigar shop at the time.
What
This
made
is
you
post-
go into that school in the first place? Like,
I was working in the cigar industry. Cigar industry is very there's a lot of art and craft that goes into premium cigars.
Yeah.
So I got into that. I was really deep into premium cigars. There's a lot that goes into it. Like a standard cigar has 5 to 7 different tobaccos that are all grown in different manners, cured in different manners, blended together to create this product that is a premium cigar. So that was kind of where I first got into like the craft of making a finished product that somebody enjoys. And I was just retailing, but I got really good at like learning customers' flavor profiles. Like customer would come in and they'd say, I like something mild, but with a little bit of flavor in this regard. And I got really good at recommending cigars and kind of guiding people as they explored new, flavors. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like when in spirits and beer and
that all
and
kind of goes.
food and
it-
everything.
yeah, it goes hand in hand. They're all kind
Yeah.
of like the same,
And
but a
it's-
little
it's-
different.
It's a craft. I mean, and these guys,
And you're dealing with aroma, flavor, all that stuff.
all of it. Yeah, nose, the actual like the body of it,
Yeah.
and how you can have a light, strong cigar. You can have a dark, heavy cigar, or vice versa, and it all affects your palate in a different way.
Is that how like a stout can be low ABV?
Exactly. Like everybody thinks dark
I don't know
beer,
that much about cigars. I just buy the same like 3 because
but it's the exact same thing. Like an Ashton, like an Ashton Maduro, which I happen to know you enjoy.
yeah,
that
aged Maduro. That's my favorite.
That's a light, dark cigar, but a lot of people shy away from that cigar because it has this very dark wrapper that looks intimidating, but you smoke it, it's actually very light finishing, has a very subtle nuance to flavor. It's like an Irish stout. It's
I
like
want
the
a
Irish
fucking
stout of
cigar right
cigars,
now, dude.
yeah.
right?
You think we could smoke
So-
cigars in here? We should have brought bucket cigars.
Yeah.
But it can be
Next
the,
time.
vice versa. You can have a very
Those
light
four thoughts
wrapper
for
that
the
hits
Rafferty.
you very hard.
Like a Camacho.
Yeah, and Habano Puro wrapper, and anyways. So
Is it like coffee where the darker has less nicotine? Because like darker roasted coffee has less caffeine.
it
Really?
It can't.
It does, yeah, because they destroy the caffeine. Like the lightest roast coffee has
That's why I
way
drink
more.
so fucking much.
It breaks down.
A blonde
Yes.
roast has more.
So
That's why I make light roast cold brew coffee that sits out for 48 hours. It's like,
it's like
liquid
rocket,
lightning.
Right, I was gonna say rocket.
It's
fuel.
amazing.
So
This
cigars
is
are
our. He also weighs his coffee out when he makes it.
I do too.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
That's why I
I
said
mean,
we
I-
already know you do.
I'm a brewer. I have a method.
Wait,
like,
did I tell you guys
do
about
it-
Billy?
I do everything
Yeah.
by weight.
He was like,
yeah.
Billy was like, if you don't weigh it, how do you know how much coffee you have? I'm like, you could just like use a cup,
The
like
scooper.
like a
Little
scooper. And he's like, but then how much how do you know how much you have? He was so serious about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I get it. Wait.
All right,
It's more
so
accurate.
this is an example of why all brewers in the beer industry might be on the spectrum.
Yeah,
because
a little nerdy, you know.
yeah,
a little
well, we're
nerdy.
all for sure like
Sticklers.
You talk to
They're
anyone.
like the baker of the cooking world. Like if a line cook is a bartender, then the brewer is the baker.
For
you
sure.
know, like there's a science,
Doing
there's a
actual
recipe.
science, yeah.
There's not this a pinch of salt. You know, put a dash of this in there and a dash.
See,
of
there
that.
is in like home brewing and like brewing for creativity where you are trying to do like just the salt, but Salt Bay and
moments like that I wish we had. Fucking video.
yeah.
We'll get there.
We should take a
but
picture real quick.
but yeah, like I mean, actual brewing for customers is like a repeated industrial process.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
as
for
if
sure.
you worked for Campbell's Soup and had to make every fucking can taste
For
exactly
sure.
the
Like
same.
They say like the macro brewing actually is like some of the hardest shit to do because you're making 100 barrels of something that has to taste
It's
the same.
not that it's the hardest necessarily, but they have by far the fanciest fucking equipment because
That's
because
it's the hardest. They just have the best
well
shit.
they have the best
Well, they
shit
do.
because they're huge
They can afford it.
multinational
Right.
They're also-
corporations, but also because controlling parameters more tightly makes beer more consistent, and like if you can't control those parameters as tightly, your product can only be so consistent. So like when I tell you that expert tasters can tell the difference in fermentation temperature of 2 degrees Fahrenheit, that's not even bullshit. Like the
Well, let's ask
American
this guy.
ale
Is it
yeast.
bullshit?
No, not at all. And we don't like we measure. Let's say we measure mash pH down to like a tenth of a degree. Those guys are measuring it to 100th of a degree.
Damn.
And
All right.
and they have the equipment that's also precise enough because I don't. My pH meter is not accurate enough to measure down to the 100th, but theirs is, and they actually know how much that can affect the end product. But that's also they're putting that product out around the world, and
It's supposed to taste the same in this country, this country. this
yeah, and
country.
you need to have that
Also,
consistency.
There's a thing in beer where the closer it tastes to water, the more important the tightening of those parameters are. So when you're
Very
dealing with ales and full flavored lagers and stuff, like I hate to put it this way, but you have a little more leeway, obviously, with like a hazy IPA.
But if I'm
just-
expecting something to taste like water and it
If-
doesn't
yeah,
taste like water, I'm
dude,
gonna be like, what the?
Yeah,
fuck?
exactly. Keystone Light, 99% of the flavor in Keystone Light is
Yeah.
the flavor of the water it's made from. You can tell the difference between different water flavors, right? Obviously.
Yeah, Colorado water's the best.
Yeah, so
It really is. It's
like
the best water you'll ever have in your life.
the difference in flavor there is like mostly the fucking water. That's, like it sounds crazy, but you drink light beers and you're kind of like
Makes sense.
to a certain extent, the most important part of the recipes in those beers is either the water source
That's why I like Coors
or
Light.
water adjustment.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Coors Light's the best beer in the world.
Evan. I'm gonna say that Lake Michigan water, is some of the best water in the world.
Lake Michigan is also
It tastes like gasoline
technically
and
the
dead
same
fish.
lake as Huron because they have the same level, and it's the largest source of fresh water in the world. I mean,
Yeah. So
it's the good stuff.
it is.
Except you can't swim in it 9 months out of the year because you'll die of fucking E. coli.
No, you won't. I've done it my whole life. Downstream from the power plant.
I know, dude. That explains so much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like,
Downstream of the power
I'm
plant,
pretty
yeah.
sure in the '90s when we used to do it, they probably just piped doo-doo straight into the lake too.
Oh my
you
god!
know what I mean?
Like it used to be the dirtiest part, like down by like by Gary and like Chicago down there. That used to be the dirtiest water in the world because everything literally like got.
I
flushed
don't
down
know
there.
about that.
Well,
It
there was that whole
back-
debate
This is
about
back in like
Lake
early
Erie
1900s.
lit on fire.
Yeah.
That's
it was
true.
on fire.
That actually happened a couple
Well-
times, right? It was only that people remember
Yeah.
it happening in
Was it
the
the
late
Cleveland River or
70s,
whatever
early
lit up?
80s,
That- yeah.
and that's what changed a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
it had happened before that, and people were just like, "Oh fuck, that's weird."
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep polluting the fuck
Shout
out of
out
that
Great
thing.
Lakes Brewery. It's good
Yeah.
fucking beer.
Yeah.
I like Great
Yeah.
Lakes.
Yeah.
Love the right
Hold on.
song.
All right, let's stay on
Yeah,
track here.
before we
We're,
get off the
we're
rails.
walking enough. So you go to, like, how old are you when you go to the beer school?
I was about 24.
Okay. And you're already into the cigars.
I'm doing
at that.
I was
point.
in the cigar business. I was going to beer school. At
Were you
night.
home brewing before that at all?
I started home brewing right around that time.
And then that was when you were kind of
my
like.
buddy Billy was running the homebrew shop, who's now since gone on to be the head brewer of brewing operations at Tight Head. So he was running the local homebrew shop right down the street. The skater kid comes in. He was interested in cigars. I had just started homebrewing. He comes in and we start talking, and he's like, I'm like, you're into cigars? You look like you're my age and you're a little skater punk. And he's like,
Want to bang?
he's like, yeah, I run this shop down the street. And he's like, yeah. Do you want to take each other out back?
Let's pool our resources.
Yeah, exactly.
Your hands.
No, so we became good buds, and actually, this guy across the way became a close friend very shortly after, because I then started working part-time at my buddy's homebrew supply shop, and this guy, Mr. Whistler, was a regular customer of the shop when he was home from school. And he'd come in, and we had a nickname for him. We called him Tie-Dye Patrick.
Tie-Dye Patrick.
Because he always had these homemade tie-dyes that he was wearing all college. And
then his name's Patrick. Yeah.
Yeah, and his name's Patrick. So we called him Tie-Dye Patrick.
Quick story about the tie-dyes, okay? Freshman year, they call it the freshman 15 because people gain like 15 pounds. In between school starting in August and Christmas break in December, I gained 50 fucking pounds. 50. The freshman 50, except it was one fucking semester. It was literally like 4.5 months. So, because I just didn't drink in high school, and then I like drank 20 High Lifes every day. Every single day. So, I was like, well, I'm not buying any clothes because I might keep gaining weight at this rate.
That's just economical.
So I just went to Costco and bought like 3 big packages of white T-shirts.
Tie-dyed them
And
all.
then tied them.
And so like a year later, they're all ratty because I just like wiped my hands on my shirt
Everybody
like
just
a
thought you were
slob.
a big Grateful Dead fan, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, man, I just
I just
not sure.
took all my ratty shirts and tie-dyed them all and then wore them for 2 more years. And that's why I wore tie-dyes every day.
But that was how we first met. So working retail, again, just retail, more retail.
But and then you got all three of you, Patrick, and Billy, end up over at Tight Head eventually, right?
Eventually.
So when does Tight Head open up?
Jason and I never worked at Tight Head at the same time.
Never at the
Tight
same
Head
time.
opened in December of 2010.
Yeah.
Shout out Bruce, love Bruce.
And I
you
was
guys were
home-
just at a Tight Head, you were at a wedding.
Or was it a 2011? It was
Just-
either 20. It was December of either 11 or 10.
Shout out Mark, you're fired, man. Congratulations on getting married.
Mark, you're fired. You're beautiful. Your wife's beautiful. Love you both. Amazing people.
But okay, so Tight Head opens what year?
I think it was 2010.
Yeah. So.
And you worked there before him? Like Patrick, you worked
Yep.
before Jason?
Yep. So I
Did
didn't-
you were you there in the beginning?
So I worked at Lake Bluff, and then
Lake Bluff Brewing, or
yeah,
Okay.
and then I left Lake Bluff because they asked me to, and then I went over to.
I'm leaving.
I think
But
I
only,
was.
but only because you
That's
know
what we just told you.
I think that Tight Head started in December of 2011, actually, because
Tight Head also asked Patrick to.
Yeah, they did.
Just leave. Nicely.
That's fine. They're like, Patrick, you don't have titties. Would you leave?
Just you wait.
It's like, I do have titties.
So Patrick was there. Patrick was
not
one of the
those
first
Yetis.
bartender staff members. I came shortly after. I quit my job. I had kids at that point. I had twins.
Well, were you already back from Colorado at this point? Like
No,
you hadn't even gone.
Hadn't moved to Colorado
Okay.
yet. So I went to go work at Tight Head when I quit my job. Quit my job in the cigar industry because I had twins.
Yeah.
And
Did you go into construction after that? Or
years
later?
later.
Okay, so you
but
go.
I was looking for something to do after I was staying home with the kids. So I worked at Tight Head.
Did you
nights
have your
and
certificate
weekends.
or whatever from the brewing
Yeah.
school? You actually finished it?
Yeah, but
Good
I
for you for
hadn't-
following through.
I hadn't there was no room for brewing because
Yeah.
I was a stay-at-home
And-
dad at this
yeah.
point. So was there at Tight Head for a period of time until we moved to Colorado, and then we moved to Colorado.
Well, what were you doing at Tight Head? Were you-
Just bartending.
You weren't
serving.
even like brewing or
No,
anything.
just nights and weekends
You-
bartending.
Doing the tap room.
Yep.
So beer
Yep.
tending.
Kids by day, beer tending
at
by
night.
night. Yeah.
Very
Batman.
cool. Did you enjoy doing that? Like, was it?
Yeah, I liked it. Being a stay-at-home parent at the time was kind of funny because
And you didn't have to like deal with like so much of like because it was just beer.
it's just beer. You still deal with like shitty customers and other
Yeah.
stuff like that, but it's like,
Annoying beer
you
nerds.
don't have liquor. You're not dealing with like food orders.
You're still
and
right by the
stuff.
train, though. I bet you got some weird wander-ins. No,
It's not. No, it's not the same. It's not the same traffic. Like
Okay.
you're dealing with
Yeah.
regulars, you're dealing with weirdos, stuff like that. But it's not.
Yeah, Lake Bluff got weirdos occasionally, but it's not like.
It's completely different than
Yeah,
like a full service
like
bar.
beer
that's
tending
in,
is
like, a
so so
main-
much different. It's the like the booze and
You're
food will
pouring
bring
beer.
out.
My big thing was I would have verbal diarrhea because I was home with
yeah,
like infant twins at the time.
right.
So then like people would start
Your
talking
first
to
couple
me
of
like-
guests, you're just
I
like,
was
like your
not.
breast stunk.
I was
or-
not the best
No.
beer tender.
Like he couldn't shut up because he was just talking
I
about
wouldn't.
something
I'd
he
be
cared
like,
about.
I'd be like
to
verbal
another
diarrhea. I'd
adult.
be like, what do you want to talk about? Do you
Yeah.
want to talk about this?
And they're like,
'Cause
I'm
I've
not
been
a date,
home alone
man.
with two
That's-
fucking 2-year-olds all
I
fucking
mean,
day.
that's kind of like all brewers. Like, I kind of like, because you're still a chatty motherfucker, dude. And I'm just gonna, I honestly,
He's like, had.
I feel like it's because for 4 hours in a row, you got to be in the back, not talking to anybody. If I get in the dungeon working on your, your little chemistry project, but it's like, it is very funny
Your
because
little
like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's
Your cute little.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
Look
you!
at-
Yeah,
Look at your
dude.
gloves on.
Look at your
Look
cute
at
little
him.
science
Aw.
experiment, you
What
little fucking nerd.
You got a beaker over
You
there?
little dork.
You putting
got a
some.
beaker?
You making
Oh,
some
you guys
oatmeal and
having
then
fun.
waiting.
Is that a graduated cylinder? What is that, 100
at
milliliter?
you.
Oh, look at you big boy.
Oh, you old Bunsen burner, huh? You old Bunsen burner. It's not. Honestly, that's how I kind of think about it. But no, like that is one of my favorite things. Is like if I come in and I'm just kind of like, oh man, it's slow. I'm a little bored. Just be like, yeah, let's go see what Jason's doing. And I'll go back there and I'll just be like, what's up? And you're like, let me tell you, man. And I'll get anything from actual like business stuff to like personal stuff to the Bears to the fucking some restaurant that sucked the other like it's just I just don't even know what's
Yeah.
coming. But I'm
And
like,
it's a rant though. Either way, it's a rant.
I love that.
You're,
That's great.
You're getting it. Like I've been locked up in a glass cage of emotion for 8 hours working alone. By the time he comes in at 5 o'clock to work the night shift,
Yeah.
and I've been there since 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Just stewing everything, just stuffing it all down.
Yeah.
Evan's my therapist at that point.
and
I'm
it's-
just letting it.
it's-
I'm letting it all fucking fly.
it's very entertaining for me because I'm like it's literally like going back to the spectrum. it's from one end to the other. Like I don't know what it is. It'll literally be about like some hippie jam band to a comic to like like actual work stuff to like this new place sucks. This place is like it's just like I'm like oh all right, like, it's gonna kill 10 minutes at least.
Boom.
So I enjoy it, but
all over the board.
Great.
all right. I think we got to call this one right here. We'll get back at it in a minute. This is the end of segment number 1 of this episode of the 4 Shots Podcast. Jason, again, dude, thanks so much for coming on. Like I said, we've been trying to make this happen since the beginning.
Thanks for having me.
You always were
Not trying that hard, but.
Not trying that hard. Yeah. Yes,
I've been looking forward to this. I don't know. You guys know him better than I do, though. So I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm missing.
I mean, we did ask
I'm
him
just
like
fucking
right
with
when
you
we
guys.
started doing this. So.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Well, there might have been legal reasons why I couldn't have
Oh.
come on earlier. So
I saw it backwards. My bad.
we'll leave those out of the podcast. maybe.
We're too close to a school. Let's just say that. And this is time for shot number 2 of this episode of the 4 Shots Podcast.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, tinkle and smoke if you got it.
Well, we didn't mean to do 2 shots in the beginning. It was supposed to be 1 shot
But
in
it
the
wasn't
beginning,
recorded.
1 shot. But then there's 4
I
shots.
guess we could have pretended.
You know what?
Thank you.
What are you guys going to talk about next?
Cheers.
We're gonna
The next evolution of Fins?
we're gonna keep rolling here. Yeah.
Where you won the GBLF, whatever it is?
GABF.
Everybody good?
We got to talk
For
about
the-
the meme then.
Dark and down.
We're still
right? That's the
recording?
one?
Down, man.
It's
Yeah.
We're still
great beer.
recording.
I used to call it dark and dirty.
Yeah.
Down and dirty.
Down and dirty.
Down and dirty. I was like,
Marty's still upset about that.
I know.
I love that beer.
Bastard.
That's probably the best beer. we'll talk about that here in a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are still here at Charlie's Tavern in the middle of beautiful downtown Grays Lake, Illinois, and our guest today is Jason Martens, head brewer over at Mickey Finn's Brewery, where I get the pleasure of serving his poison to everybody. Jason, again, thanks for coming on, man. I know, like we said before, it took a while to get you on here, but we did it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We just cracked open. Let's talk about this real quick. We'll get back to where we were. What
Voids in Space.
Voids in Space. Is this last year's?
This is last year's Voids in Space, our barrel-aged offering. We're a small brewery. We're a little craft brew pub, so we don't have the luxury of doing a lot of barrel-aged offerings. We do about 1, maybe 2 beers a year that we actually get to.
And what'd you actually do with this?
Tuck
This
away.
is what, a Russian? Was this Russian?
Yeah, Russian. You call it a Russian Imperial Stout, or a, you know, we.
And then
I
what?
don't know. I don't really like to call it Russian Imperial Stouts nowadays.
It's fine.
We'll
call it a freedom stout.
Imperial Stouts.
It's a freedom stout.
It's a big stout that we put in bourbon barrels for an extended period of age.
And what barrels did we do with this one?
I think this is.
Is this Four Roses?
This actually might be Willet barrels.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah, I think we had this one going in Willet barrels.
Can't even fucking find Willet.
Which is
That's
great.
tasty.
You know, we only fill about 4 barrels, so we're, like I said, we're a very small operation. So,
well,
you know,
let's cheers it up.
cheers.
Salud.
Cheers.
L'chaim.
Small amount of beer that actually makes its way into barrels.
Dude, that shit's fucking good.
Yeah, thank you.
Is this one of the? Is this just a straight one, or did you?
No,
put
this wasn't adjuncted with anything, so it's
That's the word I was
this is
looking for.
straight. Yeah, this is straight out of barrels. We do adjunct a small portion of it where we maybe like.
This is really good. You get a lot of that chocolate, like a lot of chocolate.
Yep.
And then a little coffee and a little bourbon on that back end.
Yep. But we
what's
take.
what's the voltage on this? What are we? what kind of volume?
It's 13.5% or up. We don't have the testing on that is we're making a very educated guess on the actual ABV that comes in the finished product. But yeah, we're looking at like 13.5% coming out of the can.
Nice. That's
but-
fucking really good, dude. Like that. You got another batch going right now too,
Yep.
right?
Yep. We have the next couple. The next iteration's going to come out this fall.
This fall?
Yeah. This
Like-
fall.
Like right now?
Yep. It's been aging for 16 to 18 months, somewhere in there.
Yeah. What kind of barrel you got for that?
I think those are Four Roses barrels.
Those are the 4.
Yep.
Okay.
Those are the Four Roses barrels. And then we have a couple more that, you know, we try to put something down every 6 to 9 months. Again, we're a small brewery, so we're just, you know.
We don't really have a barrel house.
We don't really have a barrel house. We don't really have the storage space. I mean, you've seen the storage space at Finn's.
It literally goes like claw game, Cruising USA, 4 whiskey barrels full of fucking beer.
Yeah. The
Please don't let your kid climb on the whiskey barrel of beer.
20 feet away from where your kid is playing Cruising USA is where we're barrel aging beer for 16 to 18 months.
Yeah.
But no, I think we like that. We like that. There's breweries that like a shorter barrel age portion. You know, some breweries say that they like a 10 to 12 month aging. I'm kind of like.
Well, I remember with
14 to
that
18 months.
the first batch. This is the first batch, right?
This would be the second.
Second batch. Okay, so that first batch, I remember we were like tasting it at like 8 months and then 9 months, and I think we went up almost like I think it was like 16. You ended up leaving it in there for
Yeah.
because like I was like, oh, like 9 months should be good, and you're like, yeah, it's not really there. It still kind of like it didn't have the body, didn't have that caramel flavor, like.
For every brewery is different. Like, you know, some of these bigger breweries with these barrel houses that are maybe less climate controlled.
Right, and you actually get the heat and the cold,
Yeah,
like the
you get a little more.
contrast.
Yeah, you get a little more of that contrast. And I think that does play into the barrel age character that you pull. I think the temperature swings are huge. we don't have those temperature swings. It's actually a little more stable for us, despite our small aging area. So for us, I find somewhere around a year and a half is probably, year and a quarter to a year and a half, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Is
If
right
you were
about
getting that
perfect
dip
for
in the
us.
temperature up and down, it's a shorter time, obviously, right? Because it's
Shorter
constricting
time
and going back.
or longer time. I mean, the bigger breweries too that also have bigger barrel age programs, they're able to do blendings where they are taking vintages from different years and blending them all together.
Almost like Scotch or something like that.
they're using they're maybe brewing a big stout every quarter and then blending certain barrels together after X amount of time, where maybe they're blending some 6, 8, 12, month barrels with longer, up to even 24-month barrels. We do what we can with what we can, and that's just kind of the nature of a small brew pub. And
Yeah. Well, all right. So let's go back. So we were talking about you were at Tighthead, your beer tending and all that stuff. You're there for what, like a year and a half? Is that what you said?
I was beer tending for about a year and a half, and then moved out of state, moved to Colorado. Was the stay-at-home dad for about a solid 3 years. Moved back, got divorced. That was when I started brewing at Tighthead.
Was when you moved back?
Yeah.
When you were out there, did you feel like, because I was out there at that same time, and like Colorado definitely was a craft beer mecca for years. Like Fort Collins alone was most breweries per capita for a long time until like Asheville or North Carolina knocked it off the list. But that was definitely huge out there. Besides California, I think it would probably be Colorado was the second spot for it.
When I moved out there, everyone I met out there, including Chicago transplants, knew
Which there were a lot of.
Ton of Chicago transplants.
I was
in Denver area.
I was at a fucking St. Patty's Day party at Boulder one year, and I ended up in the backyard. And a circle of 20 people just passing shit along and stuff like that and shooting the shit. And out of the 20 people in that circle, 17 of us are from Chicago. Damn. And I'm literally I moved, halfway across the country to go to a Chicago party, and I'm in the backyard around a bonfire passing J's.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of Chicago transplants and the greater Colorado area. I mean, there's a ton of people have relocated out there. But when I was out there, I remember people telling me, I met my good friend Susan and Matt, and they were Chicago transplants, and they said, "Well, you have to be happy to be out in Chicago or out in Denver, coming from Chicago." And I said, "Well, they had left Chicagoland probably 5 to 10 years prior." And I said, "Well, you guys are missing something, because the Chicago beer scene was building huge then.
Huge.
I mean, huge.
We had
And that
BCS.
was, I mean, that was, it wasn't just, and it wasn't just Bourbon County. I mean, it was,
It's also Green Line.
it was Half Acre, and it was Revolution, and it was, Pipeworks, and there were so many Chicago breweries that were starting to blow up that
a lot of big investment ones too at that time. Those three you mentioned, that those are I mean, no matter what market you're in, those are big startup breweries.
Yeah,
Revolution,
dude,
Half Acre, Pipeworks are all breweries that started
But
with
in the
a
same,
big
in Fort Collins, you had New Belgium and Odell's.
yeah.
Odell's didn't really make it out here till later on, but west of the Mississippi, Odell's was huge.
Yeah.
And then, New Belgium, I mean, I think Fat Tire alone.
Has
is
anybody
probably-
tried Fat Tire recently?
It's a different beer.
yeah,
It's a
Yeah,
wit
they've
beer
changed
now.
that.
but
a
it's
lot.
carbon neutral. That's their big claim to
Yeah.
fame, which is cool.
Yeah.
But
Someone
Whatever.
said it's
I
a
know a
wit
truck.
beer
I know
now.
a truck driver that retired off that shit. So like,
Sure,
like,
it's awesome.
doing that, yeah, like those guys.
I just bought a 12-pack the other day because
I have bottles at home that say
And they used to make-
Chicago Inaugural. It was like the first bottles of Fat Tire you could buy in Chicago.
I used to know this. It was a buddy of mine's buddy was the son of the guy who started Fat Tire, and like, who was it? I want to say it was fucking Jurassic 5 that we ended up on the rooftop of New Belgium, like partying late night after their concert in Fort
Sweet.
Collins. It was fucking awesome. But yeah, like New Belgium, like with their whole like when it was employee owned and shit like that, like they like someone offered them something and the employee pension was like, we'll match it, and they were like, we'll sell it to you then. It was fucking great. Like literally, truck drivers made a fucking killing. This fucking like hippie surfer skateboarder dude I knew who drove for them, like within like the 12 years I knew him, went from just being like a dude making 30 grand dropping off beer to like, I have a boat and a house and I don't have to work for the rest of my life. And I was just like, that's so fucking cool. But
I just hated that coming from Chicago, there were so many people out there, so many transplants out there that like had their preconceived notions about the Chicago beer scene, but weren't hip to what was actually going on in the Chicago beer scene.
Right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then-
I mean,
and
that
then, like,
is 'cause
I moved
it's- 'cause
there, I
what-
said, "You're not
what do you-
paying
what is-
attention."
but what does everybody think about? Like, there's a certain brewery everybody thinks about when you talk about Chicago, like the oldest one there, you know, and it's like,
It's Goose.
yeah, and I mean nothing against them, but that that was
Well,
kind
with
of what
their-
everyone like. The Honkers Ale.
They're
and all
buying-
that.
New
and-
Belgium's long since become that for me, though. Like
They are now. They're
too
like,
big and too standardized to be interesting. I mean, that's
exactly. Like
hon-
I
honestly, I'm at that point with more or less Odell's already too. Like
Yeah.
it's just, I mean, I still love things from Odell's, but I mean, Odell's is a large and national enough brewery, left hand. You know that like
do you remember that? Like
they're
the
old news. They're already.
I remember
old
being in
news. Old
Chicago
news
and they're
is the
like
issue.
Oscar Blues. They're
Oscar
still out
Blues.
there?
Oscar
They're
Blues
still
is
there.
way old news,
Yeah.
although the can thing really was a shot in the arm for them. They're basically like the can pioneers, and they like Oscar Blues kind of made craft
Yeah.
beer cans happen for
That-
the
for
entire
sure.
country.
For sure.
Ska, right?
Yeah, Ska
out of
Brewing. They're out of
Ska was doing
Durango.
it forever, but it was like Hopperandi was like always popular, but never.
What was that? The
unt-
Punk
I
IPA?
forgot about that brewery.
until
Punk
until
IPA was honestly
Dale's
one.
in
I
the
forgot
American flag can. You
Yeah,
know
Dale's
that
Pale
was
Ale.
really that's definitely the beginning of the peak of
Well, red, white, and blue. America.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely that. You
Everybody's
have to
got
give
an
them
Uncle
that.
Dale, right?
America.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about the beer industry is that like it's impossible to be a brewery that doesn't become old news at some
Well,
point.
yeah, and
It doesn't matter how elite your stuff is. It doesn't matter how many fucking total neckbeards wait in line to pay $40 for your fucking 4-pack. Like it.
I didn't shave. I think I'm the only one here who didn't shave.
no,
you
no.
fucking assholes.
But it doesn't matter because the craft beer scene used to be about consistency and about like adhering to
all right,
like.
so hold on. I'm
adhering to-
gonna say because that kind of is when I started losing interest in the craft beer scene, was when it became like consistency. Like for me, it was literally finding something new. Like I remember like when like we were
No,
saying,
but
like-
that's what
like,
I'm saying. That's all it is now. Is like yeah, there's like bigger craft beers. They've almost become mainstream, and there's this huge divide where like breweries like names I've had to edit out in the past, like Microphone and More and Phase 3 and stuff are like have nerds like signing up on the internet to buy their fucking $50 bottles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's the middle ground has shrunk to where it's like Mersh or like Elite now, kind of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not that that's represented in the quality of the beer. That's just kind of like
it
the
became
social scene
The
behind
public
beer.
opinion thing,
business
yeah.
rather
Yeah.
than an art.
It's like
Well-
either you drink real fart sniffer $50 stuff, or everything else is just like kind of mainstream now.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's unfortunately that's kind of beer right now.
Yeah.
In that you have hype breweries, and nothing against those guys. Like I'm friends with all those guys. I think they make really good beers. But
Dude, that it
you know,
seems exhausting.
us as like we're coming up on 30. We're celebrating 30 years next year.
Oh boy!
And we're the
Could I possibly black out more than I did this year?
I joke that we're the oldest brewery that you've forgotten about.
Well, and I'll even go back to forget about Patrick hating on all these breweries.
I'm not hating.
I actually
I'm
like a
not
lot.
hating.
I actually like
Just
a lot
talking
of
about
it.
the
I'm not hating.
difference. The
Hey,
difference
Evan,
in
have you ever handed
approach.
me a beer I haven't drank ever?
You make an
See?
excellent point.
See?
You make an excellent point.
I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
Maybe if
shitting
there
on
was a
them.
cigarette
I'm just
butt
saying
in it
it's
already,
the
he
reality
wouldn't-
of the
yeah.
social
Yeah.
aspect of the beer scene.
Do you feel that pressure, like he's saying, like to get that like viral beer?
Yeah.
Where do you like as a brewer? Do you
I
feel
do.
like you got to whether it's social media?
Everyone's striving for something that's gonna make people
You-
line up at
like
their fucking
it's
door.
basically
yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
going viral with your product.
So what I struggle with, and it's not, it's so at Mickey Finn's, we're a very old brewery. We're a brewery that a lot of people know about, but we're not a brewery that people recognize for brewing like big amazing stouts or doing these crazy barrel aged releases or hazy IPAs or anything like that. Like that's just not what we're known for. We were known for just being that consistent brew pub over the years. That's what you are.
like a hometown brewery. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's kind of what I call it. Like
hometown
people want to
brewery.
hang out there
For
all
sure.
the time, and they've got
Very much like bar focused,
Yeah.
like
8 beers that people like for different reasons, and
which is weird because
And there's
one of the original brewer is over at like Four Roses now. Like
One of the
Nobody's
one of
there.
the original brewers is now like he's a sales manager or VP of sales or something for Four Roses Bourbon.
yeah,
Hmm.
and
So-
then you also have the guy that preceded you over at
art history.
Art History,
Yep.
and they're doing good shit over there.
He's crushing it in his lager game, and he does
Yeah.
amazing stuff. So, yeah,
and then
we
another
just-
guy,
yeah, Lane, our
Lane,
old
yeah.
assistant brewer, who's in my opinion making the best beer in all of Chicagoland. Probably
lanes.
Where's that at?
Thatch Whistler.
fucking
Lake Zurich, Roaring Table
Roaring
Brewing.
Table.
We're gonna
Oh,
give him
yeah,
a full
yeah.
shout out.
His Thatch Whistler.
Lane Fearing, Beth May, Roaring Table Brewing, Ryan
Fucking-
Walker's their head brewer.
dude over at Art History was
Greg
Greg-
Brown
Greg
at
Brown.
Art History.
shout out over there.
Yeah, shout out to Greg. But yeah, what Lane and Beth are doing and Ryan are doing at Roaring Table is, I mean, they're just making phenomenal beer and putting it on market. And
Their Thatch Whistler ESB, best American made ESB I've ever had in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Although I will say, Light the Lamps is actually pretty fucking good too.
Full
but
English.
Dan, shout
It's really
out
good.
shout out to Dan.
really good.
Dan Ray at fucking Light the Lamp.
Awesome beer.
That's one of
like,
those beers
awesome.
that
Dude,
on the
dude
surface
makes amazing beer.
On the surface,
Amazing brewer.
sounds easy to make,
No.
but in reality,
No.
like
There's not a lot to hide behind.
And
hitting the
nuances.
ESBs are
It's the-
fucking
it's
delicious.
the subtlety.
Like they smash.
It's
hitting the
finding
malty
the
note
nuance
and the
subtlety.
finish.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
the-
like you're gonna get a malty bitter beer, like, and you're just like,
It's making like a
but
delicious
it's
piece
two
of
steps.
subtle fish.
You know what I'm saying?
You, know, or
taste
something
one
like
and
if
then
you
the
were
other.
cooking.
Yeah,
bitter and then the sweet.
and it's
Yeah,
for
it's good.
and it's not for the people that come in looking for a hazy IPA.
Sweet,
It's
bitter,
for people who have a different appreciation for
For
different
sure.
flavor profiles in beer. You know,
For sure.
and that's
For
why it's cool when it's done and done right. And it's just I
And-
love that shit.
Well, what
When
I love
somebody comes in and says, "I love ESBs, and this is one of my favorites," I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude! Yeah, I know our brewers are badass, but I'm glad you understand it too." You know what I mean?
I think you're seeing a turnaround in craft beer in that, like, you go back like 2, 4, even 6 years ago, and it was all big adjuncted stouts and hazy IPAs and all this shit.
Yeah,
But
we talk about this a lot, like the trends, like
You know what you see now? Lagers.
Yep.
lagers.
ESBs.
Sessions.
Yep.
Like, show
People
me.
realize
like,
they wanna
can you
have-
brew a good ESB?
My
people
my
are freaking
dude-
out for
Can
Oktoberfest
you brew a
again.
good
which-
German pills?
We were talking about
Yeah.
this, like
People
You-
still want to black out for $15, but they wanted to take 3 instead of 2 hours. That's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? They want to just hang
do.
out a little. You know, like we still want to black out, but we want to drink beers that are 5 instead of 8%. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. Is like I want to be social, and if we sit down and start pouring hazy IPAs that are 8 and 9%, I'm gonna be totally fucking incoherent in an hour and a half at least. You know.
That's why you guys drink that sesh.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
For
Yeah.
sure.
All the other Dur guys are like, yeah, can I get a pineapple? And the guy, he nudged me. He's like, it's got the highest alcohol. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm drinking sesh.
It's the lowest.
So I can drive my car home.
It's like I'm drinking 4 beers in 2. But no, yeah, let's go into a little bit something else. Like we've been drinking your beer all night so far. We've been crushing what we got the lager over here. We've been hitting.
So fucking.
I
good.
got some Oveja.
The Oveja's my favorites. Did you bring any Dark and Down or no?
We did. I did not bring any Darkened Down.
Dark and Down. Let's get into that a little bit. Like since you started at Finn's, you've won 2 major awards in 4 years, which is fucking amazing.
Fucking
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Patrick made an incredible meme about it. That was very fun.
Oh yeah.
About my ego starting after.
I
the
did
fact.
see that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
You know what? Instead of the normal background for the episode on YouTube, I'm gonna post a picture of the meme for Jason's
You did the
episode.
meme instead. Yeah.
So when you go to the YouTube,
Can we do a bunch of them? Let's get your.
We
your,
can totally
your,
do
your
this for
homecoming
other
picture.
episodes.
Your homecoming picture, his junior year in high school,
Oh
yearbook
yeah, I
picture.
can make it like
We're gonna do a collage of just embarrassing pictures of Jason.
I can make it the Doge meme for half an hour, and then some prom pictures, and then Jason's senior picture, and just spread it out. So
Let's
if you're
do a
like,
slideshow.
Aren't you
Let's
glad
make a
you're
slide-
on here,
let's make a
man?
slideshow.
You probably should. Yeah. Well, this is when you come on your friend's pod from your good buddies from years and years. But no, I do appreciate that. Yeah, I mean,
So tell everybody, so you got 2 big awards. What'd you win?
we took silver for Darkened Down,
In
which
what?
was a dark rye lager in their
silver
rye beer
so-
category.
for what?
That was GABF.
Great American Beer Fest.
Yep, Great American Beer Fest.
Silver award winning.
Silver award for the Darkened Down. So dark rye lager.
And that's probably my favorite beer there.
Yeah, I love it.
I did predict he was going to win for.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
you did.
I did.
Evan did call that one out.
I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't tried it, and then you brought me in. I think I was bartending here, and you brought in a 4-pack of low fills, and I tried it, and I was like, okay.
Evan wanted. Here's the thing I will say
up, dude?
with these awards and stuff in these competitions is that it's very subjective because we've entered that beer in the same category probably 3 times since it's won, and it hasn't won shit.
Right.
Do you think if you've won once, the judges are less likely to? Does it matter like that?
No,
No,
because
it's
it's
blind.
it's all completely blind.
tasting.
Oh,
It's all
okay.
completely blind.
Okay.
So
It's so subjective on your taste at the day.
that beer,
when you
that,
taste beer like that,
but that's just
when
an
when you,
example
when
of
you
how
enter something like GABF, how many people are actually tasting and voting on your beer?
the bigger the competition, the more flights, more rounds there are. But
The big
generally,
rounds
it's
will be
only
like
a bracket that's 3 rounds. I mean,
But the big ones will be 4 or 5.
4 or
So
5
the,
people.
The hoppy stuff will generally have 4 or 5 rounds.
no, it'll be
No.
the first flight is 4 to 8 judges on your beer, and then it'll go down and
And how many
2 or
beers are they
4
judging?
per tasting.
It's like 12 per round.
So and it's different judges every round, or is it?
No, often same judges, but they'll
So are they
work
getting
through.
hammered, at the end?
Well, they're working through. They're tasting.
Yeah.
There's more judges per beer each round, where but because in the beginning, each judge only tastes a few, and then when you
Yeah.
get to later rounds, almost every judge tastes almost every beer. When
Right,
you get to the
so
last
that's what I'm
round, the
saying. So
judges
for-
in that
for the-
round
for the
taste
first
everything.
round, there's 4 judges that are going to judge these 12 beers, but then there's 4 judges that are going to judge these other 12 beers, and you have to make it out of your flight to get
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there'll be a category assignment
So it's like a
American
March Madness type.
like
Yeah.
Imperial IPA, and then there's X number of judges and Y number of entries, and
Yeah. But, okay.
So it's exotic. There's a lot of luck. There's a lot of chance to it.
Yeah,
I mean,
like you
I say that it's a packaging competition. You need to whatever you're sending off to these competitions, you need to have packaged to the excellence. Whatever your brewery can do. I feel very fortunate that we've won 2 awards off of our canning equipment at Mickey Finn's. Which,
what was the second? So you won for Dark and Down, and then the second one
and then
was
Moon Rocks. We won a World Beer Cup silver for
and
that.
Dustin, a former guest of ours and a former co-host of ours,
Yeah.
told me to make sure you shouted him and his band out. For
Dustin and Moon Rocks, Moon Money. Shout out to Moon Rocks. Dustin. Yeah, you fucking nailed me.
He takes a lot of credit for that beer.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he's like, that's my beer. I
Yeah,
made
that's
that.
his beer.
He's like, yeah, I mean,
Did he help brew it?
He was there.
He did. He actually. Well, he came in on brew day for photo ops. And,
Okay.
He's like, hey, Moon,
No, but
Moon,
it does give me a good like.
Love you, Dustin.
Moon.
Yeah, you're the best. But the fact that we've been able to package 2 award-winning beers.
What'd you win for Moon Rocks?
Offer silver
At GABF?
Yeah.
So you got 2 GABF medals.
No,
I said World Beer Cup.
World Beer Cup. So you
World
got
Beer Cup,
2
2
like
silvers.
the two biggest like beer.
but
Third.
silver.
So you got first loser
Second
at
place.
2 different beers.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, if you're
Yeah,
not
I was,
if
I
you're
was
not
waiting-
first, you're last, right?
Yeah, right.
I could
Exactly.
see when you said silvers that you were upset.
Yes.
And then he just fucking dug his
Yeah.
heel in and said,
Yeah.
fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
It's not good enough that you're the second
There's
best
a
beer
saying,
maker
it
in the
goes,
world.
What are friends for?
Oh, I won't be happy till we win a gold. Like I will
Totally.
not like.
Fuck yeah.
I will not be content. But I also don't.
Maybe we should try bobsledding.
I don't brew beer for awards.
I could be John Candy.
Like the awards are great, but like I brew beer for my customers, but I also brew beer for myself. I know that sounds a little pretentious and stuff, but like
no, I see how much you
You
drink.
should enjoy what you're
Like,
making. Otherwise,
No
you
one got that joke.
If you don't like
What'd
what
you- what'd
you're
you- what'd you-
making
I said,
for
no, I see how
yourself,
much you drink.
oh,
one
yeah.
of 2 major things is wrong.
Ding dong.
You know?
I make beers that I like to drink, but also I think our customers like to drink. A lot of the beers
So-
we brew, a lot of
I
these
used to say this about like food when I cooked, and like when people are like, "Oh, like this is the best restaurant," or like that restaurant sucks. I'm like, or when they would do like an Iron Chef type thing on like cooking, I'm like, it's an art. It's not a competition. Like, because I like something doesn't mean you have to like something. You know, like some people fucking like vinegar. Some people don't like like sweet.
Some people
like,
don't like garlic.
Yeah,
Fuck them,
are you,
but some
like,
people
you know
don't.
what I mean? I'm like, it's an art. Like, just because I think it sucks doesn't mean that you can't think it's good. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to find your base. And so, like, when you start thinking about like the awards and stuff like that, it's kind of when you lose your actual creativity and your like aspect of like, I don't know who's gonna like this, but I think it's fucking good. Like, and then you hope people buy it.
For sure. I think like Patrick said earlier, he was talking about one of the beers we make, Sesh, our pale ale, which is like my go-to. It's hoppy. It's got a real like aggressive kind of hoppy character up front without too much bitterness.
It
but
doesn't burn your palate out.
Yeah, but it's also like harkens back a little bit to like the pale ales and IPAs, especially the pale ales that we used to drink like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm talking
And
about like the Sierra
In reality,
Nevada.
it's way,
Yeah, Sierra
it's
Nevada
way
Pale
more
Ale.
pungent,
Oh,
but
best
it
beer-
reminds you.
One of the
know?
best beers I drank was we were in CBC in Nashville last year, and we were at a bar that was the type of bar that just turns beer over. Like you can tell they were just moving cases in, and I ordered a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale for our GM and myself and his cousin who lives down there in Nashville, and we all had one, and I cracked it, and it was one of the freshest Sierra Nevada Pale Ales that I've had in who fucking knows how long. And that beer was one of the best beers that I've had.
I mean, it's like
in
the,
recent
it's the
memory.
OG of like
but
craft beer,
it was
right?
so good.
Fresh,
That
man.
it's-
Yeah.
It's the OG of
Cascade
available hoppy beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as far as a beer you could go and buy, and it was actually all over the place,
Right.
and was hoppy, years before anything
It's like the
else,
first
really.
10
For
people
sure.
that gave me a Sierra Nevada all had dreadlocks.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
We were nerds, and in high school had a party, and we drove up to Woodman's and like hay-mistered fucking 3 cases of 24 Sierra Nevada bottles. $19.99, and you got fucking $2.50 back if you brought the bottles back.
Ooh.
Amazing.
So
Now it's like $40.
I think beer judging and competition is very subjective. I'm very grateful for what we've won in the short time that I've been at Finn's, but I'm also very like, in the end, I want my customer happy with the beer
yeah.
we make.
The guy that's there every day versus the judge
winning,
that's
winning a beer judge 1,000 miles away. I don't give a fuck whether they want to rate my beer.
Well, between being
7 out of 10 or whatever.
between being busy and winning a medal, which one pays your bills?
Yeah,
Like,
well, not only that, but like, so we'll go back because you did say you kind of feel that pressure of like when something goes viral like that, when like a hazy IPA is selling out like all over like a county or something like that. Like you do feel that pressure, but at the same time, you're trying to like, what am I going to actually sell at where I'm working at? You know what I mean? Like, is there that tug of war, like where you're like, you want to make that artsy kind of like one style, but you also know just like if I put out a lager, I'm gonna fucking crush on this.
For sure, and we've experienced that. Like in the 4 years that I've been at Finn's, like I remember when I first started, I sold the owner on coming in with whatever was hype. I was like, we're going to do what's hot and heavy. We're going to do hazy IPAs. We're going to do adjuncted stuff. We're going to do just out of the box stuff. And we did it, and some of it stuck. Like hazy IPAs for sure have stuck. Like the first hazy IPA I did there, Can I Kick It, has been one of our top 3 sellers ever since I started. For sure, that's a hit. But
yeah, I mean, I remember like that was I think was that the first beer you did?
That was the first recipe that I completely like crafted, whole new brand, like whole new recipe, whole new name, complete new brand.
And that was right when like that hazy like bubble was hitting.
the haze craze was a thing.
But it was just like one of those things like where we didn't have that, and then you came in. And that was like the first thing you did. Like I'm gonna put this out. This is the hype right now, and it just started like selling like crazy.
For sure. I remember coming out one of the first few days. I remember coming out and looking down the bar, and it was like 80% of the glasses in front of people was that beer.
Yeah.
And that's fucking
Do you do
cool.
that?
That had to feel awesome,
Do you
dude.
come
You're
to
like-
the end of that beer or end of that bar, and like because a lot of you like to do the different glasses for each beer. Do you just like look down that because we have a huge bar? I think it's 33 people we sit at it. Like, do you look?
It's a long bar.
Yeah. Do you look and see the
long
glasses that are there to see what's selling, like what people are drinking?
I'm always paying attention to what people are drinking, and I love it. Like, I love some of like the cult followings, like our dark red lager. Like, I come out like there's
That's
a.
just, I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. That is my favorite beer.
There's a
That and
lunchtime
I like
crowd,
that
though.
Vea Negro you got
There's
right there.
and that too. Like I just see people that come out for that, but that's what I get off on. Like that does it for me. Like
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about awards. I don't give a shit about it. When I
that
come,
would be like the extra, like nice.
when I
like
come
sweet.
out at the end of the day, I think chefs are like this too, in that when they come out and see people enjoying a dish that they make, that's like the ultimate for them.
Right.
Like when somebody like really
That's the
enjoys
actual
what
payment.
you make. Yes.
Like the dollar amount that I'm making it on this, like, because it's a labor of love, and I'm probably getting underpaid for it or whatever. Like it's just how it is sometimes in this industry.
when
but,
I
like,
come out
but
and
when
I
you
see
see that
people-
smile,
when I come out and see people drinking beer, especially when they're drinking like the dark lager that is like a sleeper, and it's
Yeah.
for sure one of like, it never ranks in our top 5. It's always in
which
the
is
lower
which
5.
is crazy.
Like we have 10 to 12 taps that are ours at Finn's, and we have sleepers in there. But when I see like a good following. You always have to have like loss leaders, like
Yeah.
you keep dark beers on and stuff like that just because like people always want them. They're always asking for them. They're not fast movers, but when you see like the same core people coming out and drinking those, you're just like, that's what I love.
Yeah.
Like, especially too when it's like industry people. Like when I see like the manager from the restaurant across the street coming in and he's having lunch and he's drinking that dark lager because he knows that like that's what he likes.
Yeah, he's tried
Like,
a million beers, and that's boom.
I fucking
And he
love
can
that.
cover
like,
up that smell
like
before
that
he has to
right
go to
there.
work in an
That
hour.
right there makes it for me more than any sort of fucking award. Like,
Sure.
I want those local people to come in and enjoy what we're making and appreciate that because we're small batch. It's fresh.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Like
Yeah.
that's what making beer is all about, in my opinion. Like we can put beer out in distribution, but I think the small brewery, the small local brewery is going to be coming back. I mean, obviously we've been doing it for fucking 30 years.
Can't come back because we never left.
Yeah, exactly. But I think there's something to be said for that. Like we've been trying to brew the best beer we can in house, and for the local community.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, let's cap this part of the episode right here. And a segment number 2, time for shot number 3 of this episode of the 4 Shots podcast. We're sitting here at Charlie's Tavern in downtown Grays Lake, Illinois. Jason Martens, head brewer over at Mickey Finn's. Thanks, dude.
Cheers. Thanks,
All right,
buddy.
back in 2 seconds. Sort of. All right.
Oh, that's good beer.
Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm
You
drunk
ready?
as balls.
All my friends is drunk as balls. All right, let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for segment 3 of this episode of the 4 Shots podcast. We are sitting here at Charlie's Tavern in the heart of downtown beautiful Grays Lake, Illinois. With me still are Jay Clancy and Patrick Whistler. Give a shout out, boys. Say what's up.
What's up?
What's up?
And we are sitting here with Jason Martens, head brewer over at Mickey Finn's Brewery. And Jay, let's get into a couple things real quick. We kind of were talking about when you came out with like the first beer you made at Finn's was Kick It, and it was a hazy, and that was like right when that hazy like bubble was hitting, and it was something we didn't have, and you're like, first thing I'm going to do is put this out, and that's going to bring me into Santa's Magic, and it'll all connect here in a minute. Just follow me.
Gotcha.
Santa's Magic. It's beer Finn's been putting out for a while. It's our Christmas ale, Belgium strong ale, triple type beer.
24 years strong. It's a Belgian ale, Belgian strong. We've been going on 24 years with that, at least 24, 25 years. That's a recipe that well predates me. It's one of those when you take over at a small brew pub that has the history, like we do at Finn's. That beer can't change too much. Everything kind of has to stay somewhat similar to what the public is used to.
I mean, you got to change it a little bit. Like you can't get a certain yeast or
Yeah,
even
so-
with the same yeast when
so
you're doing small
I-
batch.
So did you tweak it at all?
Yeah. Well, okay. So yes, we did tweak it as soon as I started.
I mean, every year it's a little different.
No, well, every year since I've started over the last 4 years, it's stayed pretty consistent. I will say that we've changed the yeast strain. That's something that was handed down from me from the previous brewers. In that they originally the yeast strain that started it all was probably like the Rochefort strain. And then there was another brewer that took it and used the Chimay strain.
Which I fucking love Chimay.
Yeah, Chimay's great. Oh, Chimay.
Was it
Chi-
red and blue?
That
Chimay red and
strain's
blue?
not amongst the easier Belgian strains to work with.
For sure not to
Nah.
work with, but but
What do you
that's
mean?
like,
What do you mean it's not easy to work with?
Like some are more forgiving to like changes or fluctuations in temperature and conditions, and some will not produce the flavors you want or expect based on the beer they come from unless they're more strictly
Control.
handled. Yeah, yeah. So, it's well known that what is it? The West Mall, is that the
yeah. So
3787?
Yeah,
And
so-
West Mall is fucking delicious.
West
as well.
Mall, but West Mall's
We're just naming Belgian
West
beers.
Mall's
All right,
yeast is like a very standard yeast to use because it's well known to like produce very characteristic Belgian taste and also be like very forgiving.
So
to
that's what we used when we started. We used the West Mall strain. It was what I was used to at the previous brewery that I worked at. We used our West Mall strain on our triple, their Tighthead Hat Trick triple. Great beer. Love the West Mall strain. So I used that the first year, and then the second year I kind of just felt like we could mix it up. Like I had gotten a little more history on Santa's Magic, and I had learned that previous brewers had used kind of their own unique strain, whether it was the Rochert strain, the Chimay strain, the West Mall strain, whatever it was. And I decided to use a completely new strain, which was it's a strain that comes from Omega. It's based off the Duvel strain. So
Again, just another fucking incredible beer.
another amazing Belgian beer. Yes, another just standard of Belgian.
I didn't even realize that, like,
beer.
So, like, anytime you're trying to make a Belgian beer, it's coming from, like, these historic.
Yes, like the
breweries.
predominant flavor.
I mean, those
in
beers have been
different-
made since, like, the 1600s, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's hundreds of years of history that are behind these
strains of yeast.
Yeah, for
Jesus
sure.
Christ. All
The
right.
predominant flavor in Belgian beer is yeast.
Yeah.
Like in a lager, it's malt because the yeast has like no flavor. But like in a wheat beer or a Belgian, it's definitely all that. That's all from the yeast.
Yeah. Anything from that, like, raisin to that banana to the clove. Like,
Yeah, and you can play with that. Like as a brewer, as a craft brewer, you can experiment with different fermentation profiles. Like we have a very unique, not that unique, but we handle that yeast in a certain way where we build the fermentation temperature through the profile. So we'll start it low, and then we gradually build the temperature, and the yeast kind of takes off and starts to build, and
So all that
creates
science, all that science side is coming out in the flavor profile at the end.
yeah, it's not just science. It's a lot of it's like just trial and error. Like we learn that, I've always treated Belgian yeasts in a way that I like to start them at a lower temperature and then ramp them up towards the tail end to let them kind of attenuate out well.
All right.
And that's
hold on.
something I decided to do with Santa's. And
Okay, so you're starting it at a lower time and then bringing it up while it's mashing or whatever. Let's talk to, like, the aspect of putting out that seasonal beer, because like, how do you judge? Obviously you don't want to run out, and obviously you don't want to be hanging on to it for months afterwards. How do you kind of, like, judge that? Like, is that, like, kind of a pressure point for you? Like just figuring it out. Like, I don't want to be left over with this at the end, but I don't want to run out 2 days beforehand.
that's for sure a challenge when it comes to dealing with seasonal beer. We have a seasonal beer that we release at X period of time.
We are drinking a St. Pat's Stout right now, just by the way, which is delicious.
Leftovers from spring. Still holding up quite well.
Still
It's
tasting pretty
delicious.
good. Yeah, I was
it's
gonna say.
fantastic.
Which actually, like, hooray on the canning. Like, that was pretty good.
Yeah, that it does give me peace of mind when it comes to our packaging, because packaging, much like what we talked about with the competitions, packaging is where like beer falls apart. Like
Yeah.
you
Let's not trail off too far though. But like, let's go back to that seasonal. Like when you're coming up with that like Christmas style. Are you like you were brewing today? Obviously, right? Like
Yep.
you said earlier.
Yep.
How do you gauge? Like, would you rather run out beforehand or afterwards? Like, I mean, obviously you'd like to run out on Christmas Eve or whatever.
Yeah, in a perfect world, we would have just enough beer to get us through to like Christmas Eve, and then we would run out, 2-3 days after Christmas.
Not even New Year's.
That's it.
It's New Year's is kind of like
it's a very hard.
Yeah. New Year's is like the hard cut. Like you want to be done by New Year's.
Yeah, seasonals like this tied around any sort of holiday are very hard. I mean,
Even with the Oktoberfest, like we were talking about, you make all this Oktoberfest. We have the village party in the parking lot behind us, and then we're supposed to have our our own inside the brewery, and someone drives through our kitchen, and we obviously can't be open for that weekend. And now you're sitting on all this Oktoberfest. Are you did that make you nervous about losing all that? Or
it did. We moved through an insane amount of beer at the Oktoberfest at the Outdoor Fest
for the village,
yeah, for the village. So we were able to move through a ton of beer. We moved through almost 20 barrels of beer
over what, a 2-day period?
Yeah,
Three
3-day
yeah,
period.
Jesus Christ.
3.5-day period. Great amount of beer that we're moving. But yeah, that's always the challenge. It's like how much beer are you going to move for that short period of time?
So it could have even gone the other way. Like if we were actually open on the inside at that same time,
we
like you might have been out. Like you could have been.
We would have flown through so much beer that then we would.
Like if you went through, like you said, you went through 20 out back. If you went 20 inside as well,
people come.
And you're out of 40. How many barrels of Oktoberfest did you make? 60.
Yeah, we only make 20 barrels of Oktoberfest and 10 barrels of our fest beer. So, yeah, I mean it's only 30 barrels of beer. I mean, people could theoretically be coming in midway through October and being, saying, "Where's your Oktoberfest?"
And that's when you go, well, the fest is over because it starts the second week of September.
Yeah,
in Munich, technically.
Yeah.
And you're like,
and then they ask you,
and then you have to.
Do you have any
explain
pumpkin beer?
The history of
they had Oktoberfest in October 3 times, and they moved it up for weather reasons, and it's been Septemberfest for however many years.
All right, so let's bring it all back together. How I said, we were talking about, you have these seasonal beers and everything like that, and then especially with Santa's. Like I remember when I started at Finn's, everyone was like Santa, like that was the only thing anyone could tell me about it. I'm like all right, whatever. And they're like, yeah, it's Belgian strong Christmas beer, sell a shit ton of it. That first year, you make Kick It, which is your hazy IPA, which it's right when the hazy bubble was big, and then that winter, when it's like the Santa's season, you end up selling more Can I Kick It than you do Santa's Magic.
Yeah, we actual like volume maybe not quite as much because Santa still does drive a lot of sales, but yeah, we're in that odd area where maybe our seasonals aren't hitting quite as strong because some of our day in day out beers are selling well enough.
Yeah. So if you go, like, I would say, like, so your seasonal might have been getting outsold by, like, the hype of that one. Could even explain, like, this year, because everyone's on, like, the lager and, like, Pilsner dick. Technically, an Oktoberfest is a lager.
Yeah.
Do you think, like that kind of drove your seasonal sales this year a little bit with it, or, like?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think
you're getting the hype versus the season, like, type battle.
Yeah. No, it's a constant it's a constant struggle. It's a constant debate in how do you market yourself well as a small brewery that does not distribute. You know, you don't put beer out for distribution. Like, what do we? You know, what's going to move best for us? And there's really, I don't think there's an easy answer for that. I think it's very fluid.
Yeah.
I think you have to be very fluid with it.
Yeah.
You have to the sales aren't always consistent. I mean, every year we have to be. Where I feel like we're on our toes. You know, we don't know exactly what we're gonna sell.
Right.
Are you guys like as a customer? Are you guys a seasonal drinker?
Well,
like
there's a couple that I like an Oktoberfest. But
so my thing is, I would drink Oktoberfest all year long.
Personally, I love Oktoberfest lager, and actually, I've brewed it more than any other beer I've ever brewed.
But
and
I
I
feel
have
like-
more.
and
I have
like
more
I say
ribbons
that,
from.
But then outside of the season,
competitions.
you know, it's
Well,
just like
I mean,
anything.
like I like
If
ambers.
If you
and
make
I like
it year round, it's not as
browns.
special.
I like that style of beer. Like I like ambers. I like browns.
Yeah.
Something that's gonna be malt forward. I like the Oktoberfest more because it's with that lager, it's crisper and you can slam it. But
Jason's this year, the darker one, the Martens, really good.
It's amazing.
I've been drinking that a lot.
I
the
was
darker
there-
one's October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin.
And the fest beer is the lighter.
Our traditional
Festive, yeah.
Märzen, our traditional
The
Oktoberfest.
fest beer
Which is weird
pretzel
because last
logic
year
is
I
good
really
too,
liked
though.
the pretzel.
I changed yeast strains this year on the traditional Märzen, and
It knocked it out the
it's
park.
Dude, the
fucking-
pretzel
it's
logic
getting-
stayed
it's popping.
hoppier in a way. Like it doesn't. It's like it hasn't cleared as much either. You know, it's
It could be.
it hasn't turned the maltiness corner.
Wow,
It's-
I didn't know we
it
were
tastes
just
fresh
fighting
still.
people right now.
No, I'm just
I went
telling
in,
you, the darker one's
Just
better.
kidding.
I went in and I asked my server. It was a couple Sundays ago, and I was like, "Do you guys have like the giant mugs?" And she was like, "Probably." I was like, "All right, can I have one?"
Maybe.
With the Oktoberfest.
I
Yeah.
saw one
I
yesterday.
drank one of
and I was
those and
like,
one of the fests.
I want a liter, and they're just looking at me. They're like, "No." And I was like, "All right, fine, you're right."
Oh,
So what have I
out
been
of a
here for 8
giant
hours?
beer receptacle, even if you're not necessarily going to drink all the beer. I don't know, something about like this. Like obviously, I'm a fucking glutton, but like no shit, right? But,
The big glass
a
is
giant
fun,
beer glass.
although
Fuck
realistically-
off, dude. It's
Realistically,
so
your
good.
beer's out for a long time.
See,
when
I
you
like
drink out of that.
no. When
like,
I look
drink
at that
fast,
when I look
man.
at that big
I don't
glass,
like it warm.
I'm gonna have a tummy ache. Like I don't know if I can do all that. It's a tummy ache.
Coward.
you gotta let-
Yeah.
You're
you gotta
a
let the
coward.
gas
No, because
out.
like otherwise I got to chug it. Like,
Yup.
like all right, challenge me. Let's do it. Like,
Right.
I'll pound it. But then
Yeah.
it's like
Well, we have different amounts of real estate, man.
It's 3
Yeah.
o'clock on a Wednesday, and
I
you're
have
just
plenty
like,
of room for
"Ah."
a big ass giant mug of beer.
All right, let's go rapid fire real quick here before we get into the serious stuff. Beer fest, love them or hate them.
Hate them.
Why is that?
Oh God, I hate beer nerds.
All right, good enough answer.
Their money sucks.
said rapid fire.
It's rapid fire. Yeah.
All right,
You're gonna have beer
keep
nerds
going.
mad
Yeah,
at you,
keep going.
and you'll never get to explain
All
why.
right. Brewing collab, dream brewer that you could collab with, and why is it Billy at Tight Hat?
Patrick Whistler. Yeah.
No, I
Shout out
have.
Tony over at Tonality.
I have.
Because I think by now you would be open.
It's my buddies at Roaring Table.
Yeah.
Only because we agree with
That's
like,
obtainable and it'll sound cool later.
No, but we no. It's really we see eye to eye on beer. Like we're the type that we're like we'll do a fucking whatever beer. We'll do a Rogan alt or something or
A
some
Joe
weird
Rogan
shit
alt.
That'll
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, if we made a Joe Rogan alt 4 shots
Yeah,
beer.
Joe Rogan's
Dude,
alt-right BS.
That's oh my.
Yeah, I thought that was the obvious.
All right, I'll compromise and I'll say we have to do it with Noam Chomsky after that.
yeah, Noam Chomsky.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was the funniest shit I've heard in a fucking long time. Oh my God.
Maybe not Noam Chomsky anymore. I don't know. What kind of beer do they drink in Slovenia? Because, you know, Slovakia Jack would be cool.
All right. I had to shake that one off. That was a get up and walk around laugh. That was very funny. Someone write that down.
It's recorded.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What was the stupidest beer trend you've ever seen?
I'm gonna have to say either Brute IPA or Brute IPA.
Brewed IPA. All right.
Yeah, it's been mentioned, I
Yeah,
think,
a couple
in
times.
the
We
past.
talked about that.
I don't know if it
Or-
was amongst worst trends, but it was amongst like
Weird
short-lived
trends.
Or
weird
White
trends.
IPA.
Dude, all right.
I know.
Hold
I
on,
know.
bro.
I,
I've
hold
been
on.
telling
I know,
you
I know how
for-
Evan feels about White IPA.
Pretty fly for a white eye would be the greatest beer name ever.
Yeah. So other than Evan, most of us feel that.
See, I got
White-
you.
mo- Other than Evan, most of us feel that White IPA is probably the worst
Dude,
beer
there's so,
trend.
dude, it's like a cold IPA. It's a crushable wheat, like just like a great, fucking slam it down summer beer.
I'm not buying it.
It's just like throw hops in any recipe, and you're like, and it's an IPA.
Pretty fly for a white eye.
It's such bullshit.
I know.
All right. People that order tasters when the bar is shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, they need to go to hell.
Thank you. Someone ordered deviled eggs, and I said that's not on the menu, and they said I'll pay for them.
Ooh, I mean, how much?
I mean, how much are you going to pay for deviled eggs?
No, the
'Cause-
correct answer was go to hell.
Yeah, I mean,
They might have them at the Jewels. Yeah.
I'd be
I'll
like,
run
do you
down
want to
there.
wait 2 hours? Because that's how long deviled eggs take.
All right. Best advice you have to someone that's home brewing right now.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy
just
it?
like, no, not just enjoy it, but like, don't.
If you don't enjoy it, pour it down the drain and
well,
do it again.
yeah, but like being willing to dump beer. I mean, just you need to. Yeah, just don't take yourself too seriously. Like, I mean, you can't. I mean, you're making beer. Like,
Yeah.
Just
My advice is don't overdo it. Just don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Trust me. Just don't overdo
My
it.
best advice is
Don't
if it
overdo
tastes like batteries, drink like 6 of them and you won't taste the batteries anymore.
Well,
Or stop eating batteries and you won't know what batteries taste like. You
I
won't have
will
that
say
terrible-
I am very confident in saying you have to fuck up in an unimaginable way and use things you were told not to use to make beer that's like actually dangerous enough to like hurt your friends.
What the fuck?
Like if you make
I like
beer
my
that,
stouts with a little bit of nunchucks in
yeah,
them.
like if you make beer that tastes like
Where are my
absolute
Ninja Death
dog
Stars?
shit
Oh, wait.
diarrhea, it's probably still
Fuck.
safe. You know,
That would be a good double IPA right there.
dog shit diarrhea.
Yep. That's what he was going for.
Die.
That was it.
All right.
All right.
I knew it.
Tell everybody the glory of being a brewer. What is like your daily routine and how glorious it is? I mean, obviously you're an award-winning, like you're on the cover of magazines, stuff like that. Like they gave you a medal. It's hanging on a part of a wall next to a TV, next to a beam.
So you
You
get to
use
work-
the word bespoke.
you get to work in this cool like room and nobody talks to you, and you just kind of like do your own thing by yourself, and eventually people might talk to you, and then they look at you with like a real quizzical eye.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Jason's over. It's everything I dreamed of.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Yeah. No, I mean, when it comes to being a brewer, I mean, fuck, it's hard as fuck. Like you don't expect any fucking glamour or glory or anything. Like you're like a chef. Like you're
Well, like when you won that one award, and then all of a sudden you went and got a bunch of beers or shots or something, and you basically carried those beers and shots away on top of your award, right?
I mean, other than that time when I carried that glory away from myself.
Where were you at? You're in Minnesota, right? Was this World Beer Cup?
Yeah, I think it's Minnesota.
And you won for,
I don't know. Yeah.
was that the Moon Money one?
No, that might have been
Dark and Down.
Yeah.
So he goes up to get a bunch of tasters. And they go, do you want to trade? And he goes, no, I got this. And it's literally his award in a box. And they just fucking pile like 20 tasters on his box to walk away.
Yeah, the thousands of hours that go into the beer for the awards is probably something that people
Probably
don't
got him like
realize.
a pint and a half of fucking
like,
tasters.
Yeah, the actual work that goes into it, I think a lot of people don't realize about being a professional brewer. It's not like, this is fun, I'll brew beer with my buddies. No, that's when you're on when you're putting out beer for people to,
I mean, just even
it's a lot.
the cleaning. Like, people don't understand the cleaning.
Well, like I said, the reason we do this as brewers is that we love, like, take the awards out of it. Like, what I love more than anything is the fact that I can walk out to the bar at the end of the day, and I can walk out and see someone drinking a beer that I made with my fucking hands, start to finish, and they're sitting there and they're enjoying it, and that's the end. That's the culmination of their day. Like, that's like
The relief of their shitty day.
Yeah, that's the moment for them.
When someone comes
Like,
up to you and goes, hey, I tried the new one, it's really good.
Yeah. When they say that, yes. When you hear that from that, like, I don't give a fuck about any bullshit awards, anything other than that. All I care about.
So you're
is
saying
that,
right now you'll give your awards back?
Yes, I will give everything away. No, but what I do care about is, like, when you walk out and you see people enjoying a product that you made. That's why we do this. Like, that's why brewers do this. Like, we walk out, we see people just enjoying a beverage that we worked really hard to fucking make, and they really enjoy it, and that's all I care about.
All right, and let's go right from that to the best part about the show. The 1,
2,
3,
4
4
questions part of this episode. We're sitting here with Jason Martens, award-winning craft brew making
brewer.
Ginger. Sorry. That's all I got. Let's go to question number 1. Like we just said, you're always in there. You're always doing something. Like, when you get away from the mad lab, when you're away from, like, the science of this business, what are you doing on your day off?
Days off, I'm a fermentation geek, so I love, like, fermenting vegetables. I'm a huge sourdough geek. Like, I make sourdough bread.
How old's your starter?
Shit. As old as my children, 10.
So you were. So you were
He's
doing
like,
you
it
were
came
doing that
over
before
on the
COVID.
Mayflower.
You were doing it before COVID. Well, during COVID, everyone I got my sourdough going. Got my starter.
Yeah, before COVID.
So you're an OG sourdough.
Oh yeah, my sourdough starter is like 10 and a half.
Patrick,
years
how
old.
old
My
yours?
sourdough started in a Danish monastery in the year 1378.
It's funny because it's probably true.
Yeah. My bees came from a convent in France
I've got the only ones left.
from
so
the
that's
first
Sweet Tea
century
Beers.
You
BC.
got some virgin nun bees?
That's like Portlandia shit. It's so accurate though, right?
You fit right in with this episode. I'll tell you that.
Oh shit.
All right, so you like bread, huh?
Yeah, so it's the bread and the other things.
That's cool. What else are you fermenting?
He's like, yeah, I like bread, but then he became like a gypsy because of bread. It's just like,
I did kind of become gypsy because of bread. Like that was a thing. Like bread became.
How'd you become a gypsy? Like you just didn't live anywhere because you could make your own bread?
No, you just don't socialize because of bread. 'Cause you become a slave to your starter.
Have you ever?
I'm like, hey,
have
do
you
you
guys
want to
ever
go
read,
get drunk? And he's
Kitchen
like,
Confidential?
oh, I have to make 4 loaves of bread. I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Have you ever read Kitchen Confidential, the Bourdain?
Yeah.
No.
Where he's
Bread
talking.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feed the bitch.
Yeah.
Feed the bitch.
Yeah.
It's like this guy would call me up at like it was as a sous chef, I think. Was it Steven? Was that who it was?
I believe so. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, but he's like this guy would call
Sounds
him
right.
up like drunk at like 7 in the morning, and be like, "You gotta feed the bitch. You gotta feed the bitch." And that was code to like you gotta go feed the starter.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
But-
Yeah, you got to maintain the beast.
all right, let's go on. Question number 2: when you go home from work, are you listening to silence or are you bumping some music?
Oh, music all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in the brewery, you're always pumping that fucking
Always,
hippie shit.
always,
like,
always,
there's always
but
some
it's
jam
but it's
band.
not just hippie shit. It's in
It's also sort
metal
of hippie shit.
stuff like that. Like I'm a big Tool fan. Even a fan of like Gojira. I
Yeah.
love some hard metal every time, or from time to time. But yeah, for sure, the jam bands, Dead, Fish.
Yeah, not hippie shit though.
No, we're all over the board. I'm also a big fan of jazz, like love Coltrane. You know. Yeah.
I get you. All right, let's go on from that. Question number 3. Is that where I'm at?
Mhm.
All right, question number 3. Give me the one thing you love the most, hate the least, and the one thing you love the least, hate the most about this industry.
Oh, jeez.
Hmm.
Beer nerds.
Both.
For both?
Beer nerds. Just beer nerds.
You hate and love them?
Yeah. Like.
I mean, you are one, so you can't like.
I.
As much as you want to say you're not one, like
But-
you
yeah,
are.
But he's the
one,
kind of beer
like-
nerd that he loves, right?
No, but I'm.
No,
But
no.
I'm also the sort of beer nerd that I hate in a way. Like I hate beer nerds that project shit how they feel about like. Oh, I only like hazy IPAs with Galaxy and Citra. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And
We talked about that with, was it Nodder who said like he wanted people to be more open like to something like because that used to be like the craft beer thing was like I just wanted to try a bunch of different shit, and then all of a sudden it was like the hype and what was coming next, like I only
Yeah.
do this and like it's gotta have.
I hear certain beer nerds, and it's like, when was the last time you like really embraced a classic German Pilsner?
Yeah.
Or like Patrick said, like a fucking English ESB.
Dude,
Like-
hams. We're big hams fans around here, dude.
But yes, and American macros, but beyond that, like what we were talking about earlier, like craft breweries that are doing like classic styles, like classic fucking ESBs and just German styles and other shit like that. Like, I just don't. I think, but it is coming full circle because I think that's actually starting to be embraced, and I think people are becoming more aware of it. So I don't like the Haze Bros and all that other shit is kind of fading, and I think people are starting to kind of embrace like classic styles.
Yeah.
Well, and also like
And I like
breweries that
that.
just do the hazy thing are just doing the hazy thing, and I think they're pulling people towards those breweries who, if they're just, you know what I mean, like the Haze Bros, like you're talking about, they're just gonna go there. Whereas I think craft beer drinkers are, I don't want to say like changing or evolving, but like people who like more than one style are going to breweries who offer more than a couple different styles, and then some breweries are just gonna do mostly
Yeah,
the
like-
hazy thing, you know. And so those people that like that go there, and like everybody can finally kind of have their own thing instead of expecting every single brewery to offer the same, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just feel like people should just be more open to trying everything, like rather than being like, I drink this style and this style. Like, I get it. If you know there's something you don't like, then cool. Like, don't drink that.
Yeah.
But, like, if you see a rye, if you see, a stout, if you see a porter, if you see a lager, a Vienna lager, like Czech, Pilsner, like shit like that, like, you should just kind of want to always try everything.
Especially if it's a style you haven't tried before. Like, to people who are new to beer,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you try it?
Well, and I don't think,
Why not?
I think there's people that, like, they'll be like, I'm a beer snob, I'm a beer enthusiast. And it's like, oh, you drink IPAs and that's it.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, you only like before IPAs is, oh, you only drink those fucking big ass stouts. And then in the middle of that, there was like the sours. Like, I only drink sours. Like, you're not a beer fan if you don't. It's like Belgian people made sours. You don't you know what you're talking about. It's that type of shit. Like, you should always try a little bit of everything.
I think real beer experts and maybe even real beer lovers do kind of try everything. Like, if you only have one style, you're like, you're a fanboy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I go to places and I feel like extremely obligated to try their weird sounding or like English styled or like, I don't know what it is. I know I don't have to, but I feel like if I go to your brewery and you have an ESB, I gotta try it.
All right.
So don't be a fanboy.
Don't be
Yeah.
a fanboy. And that goes to question number 4. What's the best advice you have for our listeners to make their stay at your brewery a little bit more enjoyable? And why is it don't be a fanboy?
Yeah, don't be a fanboy.
Is that really what it is? I was just guessing.
That's I mean, in all reality,
Unless, be our fan.
yeah.
Unless you want to subscribe to Four Shots Podcast at either Spotify or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, like it, share
Or
it,
just
comment,
show up and get drunk
review.
and make you fans. We'll accept that too.
Tip well. The service industry is
It's that old saying, tip well and
is-
fuck better.
Well, the service industry is hurting in a lot of ways. No, I think take care of your staff and, take care of people that are giving you good service. They're working really hard for you. And I think that's important. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that work in this industry that work really hard, and some are working for a lifetime, some are working for a short period of time, but I think a lot of people are working in this industry, and
We're all here for a good time.
I
Someone
think
write that on a shirt.
Yeah.
I think everybody, needs a lot of
good.
support.
That's good words of advice right there. All right. That is the end of this part of this episode. That instead of one,
What? 2,
3,
4.
4 questions. All right. I went to shit at the end there.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't know we had to do an outro on that one too.
We always did. All right, that brings us up to the best part
Sure
of the
do.
show. Jason Martens, give us a couple things, 1 or 2 things, like the craziest things you've been subjugated in this world of service that like a person in office wouldn't have to be subjugated to.
Oh, jeez.
Like we said earlier, you didn't have a shit your pants story, but you had a pretty funny story.
Well, there's been many stories. There's been
Shit your pants many times.
there was a retail story years ago where we had a poop the walls sort of story.
That's the one. Let's hear it.
Oh, jeez. This is going back to these are the retail days. This isn't any sort of service industry.
Someone still shit on a wall though.
Someone still did shit on a wall. This was just when you had a public restroom, and you had an old lady that walked in, and
An old lady.
and she walked in the store, and she just asked, and she just said, "Do you guys have a public restroom?" And we said yes, because we did have a public restroom, and she just walked in, and she left the restroom, and
Exactly how she found it.
yeah, it was pretty bad leaving. It looked like somebody kind of blew that out, like afterwards.
Did you have to clean that up?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty impressive. It was
Spray.
it was spray. It kind of looked like somebody had just pulled their pants down and a can of spray paint just like shot
Like
out.
like a Rorschach, like
Yeah.
painting?
Have
It
you
was
seen
like
that C no
yeah, it was like,
diagram where it's like C?
Yeah.
showing
Did you
him
have to
trying
clean this up?
No, just
yeah. I had to help clean this up. And
Help?
it was
like you didn't have to do it yourself.
no,
They
I
brought
did
in
not.
a team for
I didn't-
morale.
I was part of a team. No, I was. Yeah, it was me. I was like, I was young. I was like 16, 17 years old. But yeah, it was.
So
It was an
young boy.
early retail moment where it was like, this is what happens when you have a public restroom.
Yeah. Was your first thought, this looks like it's spray paint? What if we let it dry and put white spray paint? Oh,
We didn't believe it. We did not believe. Well, I don't think we believed that an old woman could have done that. Because it was.
I would have gotten a garden hose. I'm like, I don't give a fuck where this is. I'm spraying this with water.
It was-
drilling a hole in the floor? Yep.
Yeah.
It
Don't
was,
care.
It was like a 70.
Yep.
It's a drain.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Where does that drain go to?
Wait.
Some guy's apartment, right?
Sir,
below
what are
you.
you doing with that gasoline? I'm like,
All right.
what we all know.
All right,
needs to be done.
all right. Let's leave this poor
entire book
lady's
of
shit
matches?
story
Yep.
alone. You got what else have you? Lay it on me here. I mean, we were just talking about like something like recently with that crash through the kitchen.
Well,
the
yeah,
next
I
day
mean-
you were supposed to be making like someone bought a Christmas present or something like.
I've been part of businesses that have been crashed into by cars in their, gas lines,
You were
taking out
supposed
their gas
like,
lines.
didn't someone buy a Christmas present where they were supposed to make a beer, and you were supposed to make that the next day? Like, weren't you guys supposed to brew that?
We were, yes, yeah. We had the beer that somebody had purchased for a golden gift was supposed to be brewed, and we couldn't because somebody had crashed
So this is like
into the building
last
and taken
Christmas.
out the,
There's a magazine that goes around. Is it just Libertyville?
yeah.
It's a magazine that goes around. And it's like, you can buy this and buy this. And they're expensive gifts. It's like an old school like catalog, like But I think they
It's like
raised.
a fundraiser thing.
Yeah, for something.
Neiman Marcus catalog
Yeah, type
style.
shit. And people like can put money in on to make their own beer. And so when the car accident hits the other week, when the guy drives through the kitchen, the next day he's supposed to make that beer with this guy because like they're
Of
supposed to do
course.
like a canning and like a
Why wouldn't
party
it be every
before.
other weekend?
Yeah, like and so he's just
Yeah.
like, and not only that, but like the next week he's supposed to do the Santa's Magic shit. So it's like, I gotta figure out how now to fit this dude's fucking shit into like, and not knowing, am I gonna be able to brew Santa's Magic the next week because we had no gas, which means you got no hot water, which means you got no temp.
Damn.
So, but
Lame.
crazy shit as always. But all right,
Damn.
everybody good? It
Yeah.
was a pretty good episode. I feel like,
Fuck yeah.
dude. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I love you guys a lot.
Love you, dude.
I've known you guys for a long time. I really appreciate it. This is, I don't know. a
For those
homecom-
listening,
a
we're all
homecoming
drunk
in
now.
ways. No, I really do appreciate you guys. I love all you guys. You're funny as shit. I listen to every fucking pod. You guys crack me up.
We didn't ask you about the show you went to.
Even
this
though I've
weekend.
known you for years.
Oh yeah, how was Bill Burr?
Bill Burr was great.
Great.
Yeah. There's nothing better than your future in-laws cringing at things Bill Burr's saying.
And so you just like
Yeah,
in your
just
head
me just-
saying
me
about
just
like I'm
laughing.
saying about this hurt
Just
right now.
enjoying it.
Oh, that's great.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, let's end it up. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the 1,
2,
3.
4 Shots Podcast.
And if you feel like you got the story that everyone needs to hear, hit us up at 4shotspodcast@gmail.com. That's the number 4, SHOTS podcast @gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. That's it, right?
Well, I think.
Okay.
Sea captain date.
Are we on that? Farmers only?
No, we're not on Farmers Only yet.
Not yet. But we're getting there.
Not yet.
Heads up, Iowa. We're
Sea
coming for
captain
you.
date.
That's
Yeah,
where
it's real.
Patrick's gonna find his
Dude,
woman.
speaking of
That's where
sea
Patrick's gonna
captain
find
date,
his dream woman is on
Shout-
farmersonly.com.
No,
I'm just
shout
saying.
out to Captain Carter, who now lives in downtown Grays Lake and lives the Four Shots podcast lifestyle.
We have a lifestyle.
If you ever get Captain Carter,
Yeah,
he's doing this a lot.
yeah.
What we're doing right now.
You know what I mean.
Oh, man.
The odds of him tipping the boat over are slim.
It's good.
4 Shots lifestyle. That's what we're about.
Yeah, duh.
It's not just a podcast.
Are we
Now
a
we're
lifestyle
Dude,
podcast
that's
now?
how, dude, well, I mean, that's how we're gonna fucking market ourselves. Like, we're not just a podcast. We're
If you had to pick an app store category, what would it be?
How do you guys
It'd
feel about Spaghetti Squad?
Obviously, it'd be fucking lifestyle.
I personally can't stand it. Something like spaghetti.
All right, let's take this shot. I got a pee.
like, subscribe, share, all that good shit. What the fuck?
Zucchini's good, but you have to do it
Cheers.
right.
Tough
Cheers.
shot number 4.
Fuck, I
Or
can't
so.
believe I'm taking this shot.
Love you, boys.
I have no chaser. I'm 100% gonna barf.
I only eat large pizzas.
You have a pizza chaser.
Do you see how much pizza's left here?
So like when he said he only orders,
Not as much as you think.
he only orders large pizzas. He doesn't mean one. He means plural.